On Christ's glory I would fix all my thoughts and desires. And the more I see of the glory of Christ, the more the painted beauties of this world will wither in my eyes, and I will be more and more crucified to this world. It will become to me like something dead and putrid, impossible for me to enjoy. The greatest sorrow and burden you can lay on the Father, the greatest unkindness you can do to him, is not to believe that he loves you. He loves you. He can make the dry, parched ground of my soul to become a pool, and my thirsty, barren heart as springs of water. Yes, he can make this habitation of dragons, this heart which is so full of abominable lusts and fiery temptations, to be a place of bounty and fruitfulness unto himself. To himself. Do you mortify? Do you make it your daily work? Be always at it whilst you live. Cease not a day from this work. Be killing sin, or it will be killing you. Set faith and work on Christ for the killing of thy sin. His blood is the great sovereign remedy for sin-sick souls. Live in this, and thou wilt die a conqueror. Yeah, thou wilt, through the good providence of God, live to see thy lust dead at thy feet. The love of God is like himself, equal, constant, not capable of augmentation or diminution. Our love is like ourselves, unequal, increasing, waning, growing, declining. His, like the sun, always the same in its light, though a cloud may sometimes interpose. Ours, as the moon, has its enlargements and straightenings. Holiness is nothing but the implanting, writing, and living out the gospel in our souls. When we realize a constant enemy of the soul abides within us, what diligence and watchfulness we should have. How woeful is the sloth and negligence then of so many who live blind and asleep to this reality of sin. There is an exceeding efficacy and power in the indwelling sin of believers, for it constantly inclines itself towards evil. We need to be awake, then, if our hearts would know the ways of God. Our enemy is not only upon us, as it was with Samson, but it is also in us. Sin aims always at the utmost, every time it rises up to tempt or entice. Might it have its own course, it would go out to the utmost sin in that kind. Every unclean thought or glance would be adultery if it could. Every covetous desire would be oppression. Every thought of unbelief would be atheism. Might it grow to its head, men may come to that sin may not be heard, speaking a scandalous word in their hearts, that is, provoking to any great sin with scandal in its mouth. But yet every rise of lust, might it have its course, would come to the height of villainy. It is like the grave that is never satisfied. Let then thy soul by faith be exercised with such thoughts and apprehensions as these. I am a poor, weak creature, unstable as water. I cannot excel. I cannot excel. This corruption is too hard for me, and is at the very door of ruining my soul. And what to do I know not. My soul is become as parched ground, and an habitation of dragons. Our dragons. I have made promises and broken them. Vows and engagements have been as a thing of naught. Many persuasions have I had that I have got the victory and should be delivered, but I am deceived, so that I plainly see that without some imminent succor and assistance, I am lost and shall be prevailed on to an utter relinquishment of God. But yet though this be my state and condition, let the hands that hang down be lifted up, and the feeble knees be strengthened. Behold, the Lord Christ, that hath all fullness of grace in his heart, all fullness of power in his hand, he is able to slay all these his enemies. There is sufficient provision in him for my relief and assistance. He can take my drooping, dying soul and make me more than a conqueror. Why sayest thou, O my soul, my way is hid from the Lord, and my judgment is passed over from my God? Hast thou not known, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary, there is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. He can make the dry parched ground of my soul to become a pool, and my thirsty barren heart as springs of water. Yea, he can make this habitation of dragons, this heart so full of abominable lusts and fiery temptations, to be a place for grass and fruit to himself. So God stayed Paul under his temptation with the consideration of the sufficiency of his grace. My grace is sufficient for thee, though he were not immediately so far made partaker of it as to be freed from his temptation, yet the sufficiency of it in God for that end and purpose was enough to stay his spirit. I say, then by faith, be much in the consideration of that supply, and the fullness of it that is in Jesus Christ, and how he can at any time give thee strength and deliverance. Now if hereby thou dost not find success to a conquest, yet thou wilt be stayed in the chariot, that thou shalt not fly out of the field until the battle be ended. Thou wilt be kept from an utter despondency, and a lying down under thy unbelief, or a turning aside to false means and remedies, that in the issue will not relieve thee. The efficacy of this consideration will be found only in the practice. Do you mortify? Do you make it your daily work? Be always at it whilst you live. Cease not a day from this work. Be killing sin, or it will be killing you. Set faith at work on Christ for the killing of thy sin. His blood is the great sovereign remedy for sin. 6 souls live in this, and thou wilt die a conqueror. Yeah, thou wilt through the good providence of God live to see thy lost dead at thy feet. Do you mortify? Do you make it a daily work? Be always at it whilst you live. Cease not a day from this work. Be killing sin, or it will be killing you. Sin also carries on its war by entangling the affections and drawing them into an alliance against the mind. Grace may be enthroned in the mind, but if sin controls the affections, it has seized a fort from which it will continually assault the soul heads, as we shall see. Mortification is chiefly directed to take place upon the affections. Let faith look on Christ in the gospel, as he is set forth dying and crucified for us. Look on him under the weight of our sins, praying, bleeding, dying. Bring him in that condition into thy heart by faith. Apply his blood so shed to thy corruptions, to this daily. Do you mortify? Do you make it a daily work? Be always at it whilst you live. Cease not a day from this work. Be killing sin, or it will be killing you. Now, do you mortify? Do you make it a daily work? Be always at it whilst you live. Cease not a day from this work. Be killing sin, or it will be killing you. abide in us, but is still acting, still laboring to bring forth the deeds of the flesh. When sin lets us alone, we may let sin alone. But its sin is never less quiet than when it seems to be the most quiet. And its waters are for the most part deep when they are still. So as our contrivances against it, be vigorous at all times, and in all conditions, even where there is least suspicion. Not to be daily employing the spirit and new nature, for the mortifying of sin is to neglect an excellent succor, which God has given us against our greatest enemy. If we neglect to make use of what we have received, God may justly hold his hand from giving us more. His graces, as well as his gifts, are bestowed on us to use, exercise, and train them not to be daily mortifying sin, is to sin against the goodness, kindness, wisdom, grace, and love of God, who has furnished us with the principle of doing it. Do you mortify? Do you make it a daily work? Be always at it whilst you live. Cease not a day from this work. Be killing sin, or it will be killing you. Mortify, do you make it a daily work? Be always at it whilst you live. Cease not a day from this work. Be killing sin, or it will be killing you.